Uvie, I have to say, is taking an advantage here. Sorry, my screen just went blank for a second there. Uvie taking advantage. He has knocked Mind out of that top left corner. And if he does take that base for himself very soon, then he will be on top economically. And as we know, when Uvie gets going with his macro mode, I mean, that's something to be afraid of. People are saying that this is the season of the comeback, and Uvie, in his dominance, was just a complete, absolute macro monster. They call him the cheater Terran because you watch these games and you see a battle and he loses all of his forces, and you look back and somehow he has a whole new army, like fresh and ready to go in his main base already. And Mind, for some reason, flying his command center up there. Maybe he's trying to scout to see if it's safe for him to land back up there again. Uvie going with a lot of dropships in there, dropping all kinds of forces. It looks like he lost a dropship there. I hope for him that there wasn't anything inside of it. Uvie getting a lot of hits in here. Uvie has that second line, but it looks like Mind does have a lot more forces here. Okay, Uvie does have some more tanks back there. But Mind is basically has a lot more Goliaths in this situation, so that's why he was able to hold off his attack. It looked like he killed at least one of Uvie's dropships, maybe two. Uvie now coming in and reinforcing by land. So that's kind of where the battlefield appears to be setting itself up, is in that kind of top left region there, and Uvie kind of bunkering in. That's why I'm going to give him the advantage in this situation, because Uvie seems to be kind of, digging in where he has, putting in, supply depots and turrets to protect his tanks, and kind of a fortified line there. Kind of splitting the map in half, but also taking that top left corner, although it looks like Mind has the bottom right corner, so they might actually be even as far as the amount of territory they control. If you look at the minimap and just the kind of general color, it looks like Uvie does have better map control at this point, but Mind is not that far behind as far as the amount of space he is covering over. And Mind setting up for a big drop here. He has several dropships. It looks like he's going to send in. Oh, he's going to send in his engineering bay to start sucking up hits from the turrets. Brilliant move by Mind. He's going to start sucking up hits from the turrets with that engineering bay. That engineering bay is going to die, but in the meantime, he's going to be able to drop 5 dropships worth of forces all over Uvie's base. Brilliant, brilliant maneuver. That was excellent. He loses a few dropships there, but he got most of his forces down before that, and he was able to. He looks like he's going to be able to counter and take out this base there. So that was an excellent maneuver by Mind. I gotta hand it to him. That was a really smart move. Here we see Uvie. Uvie's first-person mode. Looks like he's bringing in some dropships, but looks like instead of going and trying to take out those forces, he's first gonna use those dropships to try and counter and take out one of Mind's bases instead, because he knows that it would be hard to take out that little emplacement there by just running in, and he couldn't drop in because there was a lot of Goliaths there. But Uvie instead dropping on Mind's location here, setting up a lot of tanks. Mind does not have many Goliaths in that location, so he's not able to take out the dropships this time. And Uvie has several more tanks than Mind does as well. Looks like he's got about a dozen tanks in that location. Mind's tanks have all been destroyed because they're all in the top left corner, having taken out Uvie's base there. And unfortunately, those turrets killed most of Mind's Goliaths. I'm sorry, most of his dropships before they were able to get out. So Mind is not going to be able to go up and pick those up very easily and bring them back down to this battle. Uvie pressing in with a ton of tanks now as well, loading up dropships with more tanks, running in SCVs for some reason, maybe again just for a little bit of extra military. Basically, he runs in the SCVs there to take the first few hits from the tanks, enemy tanks, while he sets up his own tanks to siege and counter attack. It's a pretty good strategy, actually, and it looks like he's only going to lose several SCVs, which at this point is absolutely nothing. I mean, he's got 7 command centers. It would take him like half a second to go through and refill that amount of SCVs. So that's a pretty good strategy. And Uvie going in here to Mind's natural expansion just outside his base. Tanks go off and kill a lot of... Oh, dropping all over Mind's forces as well as he comes in with a dozen tanks by land. This could be the end right here. If Mind doesn't do something to hold off this push, there are a ton of tanks, and Mind has almost no forces in his main base. I'm not sure where his forces are. I'm not sure if he has any forces. Mind at least doing a good job there, running a couple SCVs out. Uvie's tanks attacking the SCVs and destroying themselves a little bit there. The problem at this point for Uvie is spotting. If Mind can get some, it looks like Uvie's tanks are slightly out of range of Mind's tanks up on that hill though, but Uvie is going to have to do some comm setting to try and, another command center is burning down. Oh, that's going to be hilarious. If that command center burns down in midair, that will basically be a huge, that might be the turning point for Mind, because it'll take him time to get that command center back up. In the meantime, he's already economically behind. Uvie going in here and taking out another expansion. He's now taken out 2 expansions in a row. If he can take out this third one, that will be it for Mind, because he will be so far behind economically that there's no way he's going to be able to come back against a macro just monster such as Uvie. And Uvie, it looks like it is held off for just a moment. Finally, Mind getting his dropships in there. Doesn't look like he has a lot of forces to fill those dropships up with though. But Uvie is out of Goliath at the moment, so focusing heavily on tanks, which could bite him in the ass later on. Uvie taking over that base that Mind had, and Mind's just leaving those forces in the top left corner, which is, I gotta say, it's kind of a poor move at this point. He really needs to defend himself. Keeping Uvie from getting that top left corner base is not as important as defending his 3 bases now that have been 2 bases that have been basically eliminated, and 1 which has been challenged. Mind going in for another, going with those SCVs again, using that over and over again to very good effect. Mind has a lot of turrets there in lack of his Goliath. Mind going in, dropping Goliaths all over Uvie's tanks, so excellent move by Mind. Mind using some brilliant strategies here, and is actually able to hold off Uvie one more time. So Mind is still in this game. I'm not going to give it to Uvie just yet. But Mind is going to have to come back and counter very soon and do some major drops or something to take out a couple of Uvie's bases very soon. Otherwise, he will be in trouble, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Uvie running in SCVs all over Mind's base here, and tanks taking out those turrets, which Mind took so long and so many minerals to put up. So I really am not seeing Mind coming back in this game, honestly. I think that he's going to have to GG pretty soon, because he is now down to 3 bases, it looks like. I think that, yeah, you can see on the minimap that command center burned down at his unprotected natural, and he was not able to get it out in time. It looked like he only had like 25 hit points on it earlier, and so it burned down in midair because I don't see a building there replacing it. Uvie, in the meantime, is finally going after this bottom right base, which was all that Mind had going for him. Was he had this bottom right base, which was pretty unharassed, and now Uvie just coming in and destroying the last of Mind's bases, and Mind coming out with some of his SCVs, which is he brutally needs those mining right now because he is so far behind economically. At this point, I'm going to give it to Uvie. I'm not sure there's a way that Mind can come back again. Brilliant move by Mind, using that engineering bay. That was pretty cool. Mind does have a lot of forces over here. I'm not sure what the hell he's doing with them. He needs to be destroying Uvie's forces at this point. Okay, great. Your main base is all walled up. That's very nice, but you're not going to win just by holding up in your main base when you don't have any intake from any of your expansions. Okay, finally coming out. I guess what he was probably trying to do is just mass up enough forces that he could actually move out in force, but he's not doing a very good job of it at this point. He's got several dropships full of forces now. Basically what he needs to do right now is go but again, I'm just not seeing it happening. I'm just kind of, making up possibilities here, but it's not really going to happen. And again, leaving those forces in the top left corner, they're not doing anything there. They're just wasting time, just twiddling their thumbs. The pilots of those tanks are just sitting there saying, what the hell are we doing up here in the middle of nowhere? And Uvie coming in to try and take out one of these expansions on the bottom here. It looks like he's going to fail one more time as far as taking out those expansions there. Mind hanging on by a thread, keeping that expansion on the bottom, keeping the bottom right expansion as well. But it's just a matter of time here. And now Mind's pace running out of minerals at his natural protected expansion, I think that was. So he's going to have even less intake as well. We're going to cut out a few seconds here just to fit it, the GG under 30 seconds. Well done by Mind, but it just quite wasn't enough.